Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Does politics, American politics, affect our local property market? Stay tuned. We're going to talk about it right
I'm the ringleader, so listen
It's happened.
It's happened. Trump is in.
Yeah, 47th president. I think for a long time people were very unsure whether this was actually ever going to happen. But the day's here.
I don't know, the reality guys and girls. I'd love to know your opinions. It's a live show. Whack your comments up. But, does it really affect the other side of the world, Aussies?
Yeah.
Is it really going to affect our economy, our property market, with this man coming in under the grips of this man, Mr. Donald Trump? What do you think, Billy Bob?
Well, that's right. We're talking to everyday mums and dads, Aussies, every weekend. I had the pleasure of meeting about 35 families on the weekend, and not one mentioned it. I don't know if that's just because it's here and it's happened. I don't know whether that's because it's the first weekend back, but not one person mentioned it.
And I just think in politics, what we often forget is it's just the tip of the iceberg. That person that's is the face. There's a whole system. There's a whole, there's tens and there's almost tens of thousands of people that are making decisions behind that person, probably hundreds of thousands. So you may be switching the jockey, but the horse is like the horse, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good way of putting it. But it's been like a massive thing in the press, obviously, and I think let's just jump into it because we spoke off air. The
Yep.
biggest thing that this impacts is people's sentiment, and there's no real way of measuring that.
Yeah, so I think if you look at if you look at any event, any scale of event across the world, how it makes you feel will change your decisions that you make.
Yep.
We call it sentiment. So, be it a pandemic, be it a war, be it a tragedy, whatever happens within those things, I believe it does. I think when the chips are against you, you probably don't make life harder for yourself.
Yeah.
You may just be a little bit more conservative, and then I think when everything's going okay, when everything's going well, that's when you sort of forward and make decisions and make changes. So putting that in property words, I think that, you saw that in COVID, for example, people just chilled out. The market just abstained. People were reluctant to buy and to sell, and it paused. But then too. So people were more reluctant to do stuff. And I believe that with what happens with, for example, in America, I don't ever hear this, but I often say this, but I believe one of the biggest political machines in the world is Hollywood. Our kids, some of our kids I see kids, in schooled in Singapore with an American accent. I see our kids, I've seen some of my kids bust out an American accent when they say something and we have a bit of a joke about it. But, there's a lot of influence that these cats have
Absolutely.
in the
Well,
US.
these guys are the biggest in GDP. Um, so there's going to be some kind of economic confidence, and then investment will flow out from the country. People are going to be looking at the US, I think, particularly as a benchmark for interest rates this year. I think that's going to be the biggest, well, the thing that people will pay closest attention to. As the everyday Aussie, people are going to be watching. What does the US do with their rates? What will their office do to stimulate their economy? And I think you can expect that to trickle through, maybe down the line. But we
Yeah.
do follow overseas markets.
It's interesting. I sort of I looked at stuff with doing research. I think trade, our economic trade and investment that we have. The US is big. Global financial markets are influenced by it. Something where which we don't often think about, but our geopolitical alliances and defence. I think that our alliances with, the US, for example, in defence is important to how we feel, whether we feel vulnerable or strong.
Yeah,
And again, that will convert over to everyday mums and dads making decisions. Um,
yeah,
and then global trade dynamics like supply chain vulnerability. So I think often we've seen it in the last couple of years um, where the US will make a decision on electric cars, or the US will make a decision on from China, or they'll make a decision on something, and then we will adopt that decision, thinking that's the right thing to do. Let's follow them into this one. Sometimes we don't. But those
yeah.
things are all kicking back to everyday mums and dad in DY in the northern beaches of Sydney.
Absolutely. I mean, I guess the more harmonious, the more the smoother everything is, will just trickle through. Look at the cost of building; that hasn't been easy for a long, long time, and it probably is because there's just been changes, constant change. So I think that's what you got to keep an eye on. Next six months is going to be really interesting. The big four Australian banks were already saying when we finished 2024 that there would be a rate cut around May. Um, that that's coming towards the middle of the year, July, somewhere around there. That could be the next big thing for Australia property prices.
What do you think of Trump?
I'm not really into politics. I don't care. I don't have an opinion, but I like peace. I think that's healthy. And if you can put out wars
Everyone
and
cares. Everyone's got an
around
opinion.
China, I'm happy around that. I wore my American tie today.
I won't say whether. Eh?
I said I wore my American tie today in celebration.
Did you? I won't say that I'm a supporter or not a supporter, but I will say I'm entertained. Like
Yeah,
I just think when I see some of the stuff come up, I just I'm entertained. Actually, one thing but being a little bit political, one thing that I do like, I like when someone's running a country that's got commercial experience. Often I think politicians get into positions of power through politics, and they've been in politics for 30, 40, 50 years, and they're there because they've worked the political system. I'm a bit of a fan when I see someone worldwide, in any country, that's a business person making business decisions for a country. That encourages me. For instance, the Worldwide Bank, um, the the people that sit on the board of the Worldwide Bank, the majority of them are some of the most powerful business people in the world. Now, to run a bank, I think that's clever. Do you know what I mean? To be a business person making banking decisions, and to run a country, I don't know. It's better than someone who just worked the political system anyway. Not saying I'm in hard or out hard with Mr. Trump, but I do believe if he pulls it off and makes people over the years feel comfortable, I think the kick-on effect to our local economy will be making people comfortable. Whereas if he really botches it and stuffs it, makes it uncomfortable for people, then I think that will kick on as well. End of the day, I do think there's influence there, as much as an individual may think go screw them, not interested, whatever. I think the majority of people have an opinion. Look at the news.
I think that's a good summary. That's a brilliant 10-minute segment.
That's the segment there. What's Lisa got to say?
Trump will sort stuff out. We need someone powerful to rule. you're going to get that. There's no doubt about that.
You're gonna get that. You're gonna get that. So there you
Yeah.
go, guys and girls. I love to know your opinion. Leave them on the show later if you have one. And good luck to America, to Mr. Trump,
It's a
for the
big day.
next, I think, 3 or 4 years. It's a big day. It's a big day. It's a big day for change.
I've
And I
seen
think
some stuff
positive.
come
Let's
out about
be positive. Let's be positive,
nothing
mate.
about property yet, but a little bit about TikTok, a little bit about genders as well. So just wait.
Yeah. But I'm pretty positive. Translating all of this to little old us in little old DY on the northern beaches of Sydney. I do think it's a positive property market ahead for us. We haven't seen double digit growth, which normally we see property values double every 10 years. We have the last 100 years on the northern beaches. Every 10 years generally. You take a batting average, it's doubled, and we're actually behind. We're 60% with units. I was looking at it last night, so I do think there's a bit of there's a bit of potential there for capital growth, particularly with affordable stuff like apartments.
Yeah, that's a hot price point at the moment. Have a great day. Go America.
Have a great day, everyone. Good luck, America. See ya.